4, 3, 2, 1. Love Talk Radio. Women have the power to transform this world. We can end crime and violence if we all agree to do one thing. Share. Let's share our wisdom, share our time, share our talent, share our finances, but most of all, let's share our love. This is the Female Solution. Join me, Naima Latif, every morning, 7 a.m. to 9 a.m. Central Standard Time, as we bring you stimulating discussions about the issues affecting our lives. If you're listening online at www.blogtalkradio.com/the-female-solution, press the blue button that says follow and get our daily topics every morning directed to your email and your smartphone. Hi, I'm Naima Latif, executive producer of the Female Solution Radio Show. We invite you to call in 515-605-9325 and participate in this daily think tank as we examine the challenges we face and develop solutions that restore peace and harmony. We are global transformers, changing the world from the way it is to the way it should be. We are one. Wherever we live on this earth, we are one human family. On behalf of our team of radio hosts, I'd like to extend a greeting to all the members of our family, whenever and wherever you may be listening around the world. To our family in China, Ni Hao. In India, Namaste. In Japan, Konnichiwa.
We're
In Korea,
30 seconds behind on
in
Facebook.
Russia,
Okay. Blog Talk, then 30 seconds it shows up on Facebook.
Where do I look?
Bonjour.
Right where you are.
Hola.
Yeah, you're good. Be who you are. Totally perfect. Yeah. Can't make a mistake.
Aquaba. In Nigeria, Paleo. In South Africa, Salbona. In Senegal, Bangladesh. In Kenya, Jambo. In Israel, Shalom. In Pakistan, Afghanistan, and Saudi Arabia, Assalamu alaikum. Greetings and peace be upon you all. What if you could live to be 120 years old and remain active, healthy, alert, and vibrant? Our bodies are made up of cells that are constantly rejuvenating. So if we take proper care of ourselves, we can literally defy aging. Join us every Tuesday from 7 a.m. to 9 a.m. Central Standard Time to learn about self-care from Suson Essentials on the Female Solutions Blog Talk Radio Show. Learn how to help your bodies and your cells feel rejuvenated each day through proper nutrition, sleep, frequency medicine, and many unconventional methods of self-care. I'm Jodi Suson. Join me and my amazing guests by calling in at 515-605-9325 and press 1 to speak. We'll help you achieve a breakthrough in your health today.
Well, good morning. Good morning, world. This is Jodi Suson with Suson Essentials, and I am so grateful to have Stephanie Hunter of the Hunter Method join us from Jupiter, Florida. So we're going to be talking about this unique method that you created. Stephanie, I'm just going to let you get started. You and I have known each other since high school, since Barrington High School. Is that right?
Yeah.
Yeah, and I'm so excited that we reconnected last year, and we found, as you know, that we were on the same path. You got started a lot earlier. So why don't you tell the listeners why you got started so early? What happened for you that had you go on this path helping people get out of pain?
Well, so you and I have known each other for a long time. So you know me when I was in high school, and I was a little radical, whatever. So I think any story starts with, a challenge, right? And so when I was younger, I was a gymnast, and I fell a lot, and I went on to do cheerleading, and I got injured a lot, and I was kind of a bad kid, and then I had 17 car accidents. Yes, I counted them.
Wow.
So
Car accidents.
I don't drive. I mean, I didn't drive for a while after that, but I just literally just was constantly crashing my car till I could not drive without fear, But anyways, my story just led me to be 21 years old and in so much pain. And I had just witnessed my mom go through bone and brain cancer for 9 years. So all growing up, I saw her struggle, and I decided I didn't want to go the medical route anymore. That I was like, my soul was dead, and I just had to figure out a way to get out of pain naturally. And that led me to stop my career. I studied Japanese language. I love languages. I love all different cultures. And I went to massage school. And as soon as I went there, I was like, this is it. This is it. This is why I'm here. I have, little hands and, but I feel things, and I feel people because of the pain that I had in me. I felt it in you,
Right.
So that just started my journey, and now we're what? Old, Jodi. We're getting older, right? Yeah, so
maybe I'm older.
older. So now this has been almost a 30-year journey for me. And every day I woke up, I was still in pain, but I kept finding different things to help. And I never stopped. And I think I think we all have like a little weird superpower, and is that I believe there's a solution to every problem. And if you haven't found it yet, it's just that you haven't found it yet. You just can't give up. And I know that's part of your story too.
It is. And, I'd love for you to share just a little bit about, look, the whole world is in fear right now. What does fear, what does fear do to the brain? It's
Paralyzes it,
Mhm.
And then, and what I discovered, like I discovered the muscle connection. Obviously, I was, I'm a massage therapist, and I absolutely love all different kinds of modalities. But what I was always searching for was something that I didn't have to do stuff every day to feel good. Every day was like Groundhog Day. I do a little bit of this, a little bit of that, a little stretching, a little this, a little, and the next day I'd wake up and I would still be in pain. And, that fear thing is that when your muscles are tight too, you feel more fear.
Mhm.
So that's a connection that we talked about the other day.
Right.
But if you have neck tightness, whether it's from sleeping on a pillow funny or running into a Mack truck, either way, when the muscle fibers are tight, the nerves can't get through, and it makes us feel more anxious. It's almost like your own neck is strangling you. And when your neck is all limber and free and everything, you just feel less fear for no reason. I mean, we always have plenty of things to be afraid about, right? I mean, You
Right.
wake up, and there's plenty of things. But if your body feels good, you feel better for no reason.
Right. And it's a choice in the matter, right? There's a choice in the matter. We can operate with fear. And one of the most powerful things that I've learned about you is that you are unstoppable. Like, you are just unstoppable. And there's not many people like you, Stephanie. So why don't you share with us how you came up with the Hunter method, what it is, how it helps people, like that. Because you help people get out of pain.
That's what I do.
Yeah, live pain-free.
Yeah.
That's remarkable. And you're not using drugs, right?
No.
You're not using a tool other than these things, our hands, right? And, I think the powerful thing is that you can also do it on your own. So why don't you take the ball with that?
So I mentioned before just how long my journey's been since 1992. So when I mean I've studied it all, and I'm sitting in a smaller library, but I mean, all I do is read, and I'm the biggest geek you've ever met. And I don't read. That's why we relate, right?
Yeah.
Well, if I wasn't a massage therapist, I would have been a detective, because I like to see how things connect. So my background is actually energy work. I'm a polarity therapist, and I went from there to do deep tissue, you name it. People say, like, what about this? Yes, they're all good. But what happened was, just like any practitioner, I kept putting things together, right? And it was my own work. But I was still looking to get myself out of pain. I mean, every day was like, this shoe, oh, not this shoe, do this before you exercise. Don't do that. Oh, don't sleep on that bed. Watch that pill. Like every day was like Groundhog Day. And I would go through, bottles of Advil, the Costco kind. And
I had a stock,
Yeah. So anyways, all I do is work. I once counted it. It's funny. I cry when I laugh. So I'm not sad. I just cry when I laugh. I am not very good at math, but one day I decided, how many treatments have I done in my life? And it was over 50,000. Wow. So it's like, when I work a lot, that's having my hands on somebody and making them have a change and win is like the best feeling in the whole world. But anyways, I think my real aha moment came. I had a lady, helped her with her shoulder. She had a partially frozen shoulder. She couldn't lift her arm. And she said she could lift her arm. I'm like, great. But about 3 months after I saw her, I'm not sure of the timing, she comes in and I said, oh, it's your right arm. And she said, oh, no, that's fine ever since you worked on it. And now she hadn't done anything. And she sat at her desk 12 hours a day. And she just could have pushed me over with a feather. I thought, I'm onto something. And right at the same time, I was working on one of my clients. His name is Tony Robbins. And Tony's an amazing.
Tony Robbins?
What's that?
The Tony Robbins?
The Tony Robbins, yeah.
Yeah, so, and I've seen his testimonials, and, it's really pretty impressive. So, keep going. Yep.
Anyways, if you know Tony Robbins, he's very passionate, enthusiastic. And when he says something, you listen. So anyways, in the middle of a treatment, he looked right at me and he said, Stephanie, what you're doing here is really amazing. He says, you need to name it, figure out what you're doing, train other people, and get this into the world.
Yeah.
And
I get it.
It just hit me like a ton of bricks. And I thought, I honestly have no idea what I'm doing. Because, it's just like you, it's intuitive and you just know. And then to think of how can I figure this out and move it past me? Mm-hmm. And so that was in 2014. And that's when I named it. And my maiden name is Hunter. I mean, right. Even if I marry another 7 times, it's Hunter. So much easier to say. When I married my husband, he said, I'm not taking your name. And I said, well, I'm not saying your name either, you know? So Hunter, it's easy to say, you know? So that's why I named it Hunter Method. And I started out, just a little note, I started out calling it Hunter Massage Method because I'm a massage therapist.
Right.
But so everybody kept saying, yes, it is massage, right? But it's so different than regular massage that people's ears just shut down when they heard the word massage.
Totally.
Either they loved massage, right? And then I wasn't that, or they didn't ever get help from massage. So then they said, I've already tried that.
So
And
we have to look at people's listening. So how brilliant of you to take out something that somebody already has a preconceived notion of, because what you created was completely different than what they've ever seen. It was out of the box.
Do you want to hear a funny story? I'm not brilliant, but this is how I heard it. I was at a marketing class, and they gave an analogy of a business owner, and he's standing and doing a video, and he's like, "Hi, I'm Ted Jenkins, and we are not a cult." And they're like, "Cut, don't say that," you know? And he's like, "Well, I was really emphatic, and I really was, you know, I was really sure of myself, and I said we're not a cult." And they said, "Yeah, but when you hear the word cult, it just kind of lands, and you can't get it out of your head."
Right.
And so then he goes on to say, he goes, "I'm Jim Jenkins, and we are not an effing cult." And they're like, "Great, now you sound like an angry cult leader, right?"
Right.
Yeah. And I'm walking around going, "That's so funny." And all of a sudden, I thought, that's me. I'm like, "Hi, I'm Stephanie Hunter, and it's not massage," you know, and it's
Right.
and then you can't get the word out of your head, right? And so I actually legally trademarked. Yeah, I did the whole thing.
So you trademarked the whole thing.
I had you know how hard it is to do name changes? I did it because it was important, because there's so many people that are suffering for absolutely no reason. You know, so many things boil down to just one thing. Somewhere in their body, there's a chronically contracted muscle pressing on a nerve, causing a problem somewhere. And the trick is not just finding where that tight muscle is, but, you know, the old, like, we know we've been conditioned to believe that we're just made out of Play-Doh. And if you can just manipulate it in just the right way, you know, pound it, pummel it, heat it, ice it, and just get it just, I always think it was like baking, just get it just right, then you'll feel good again. But if that worked, then there would be nobody in this whole world hurting, right?
Exactly.
So I figured out that the brain is the one that needs to make the change. So, you know, just like you, so there's many avenues to this. I mean, I just use my hands, and you do the same thing. We talked about it the other day. If there's a block in someone's energy, whatever that block is, if you can remove that block, then they feel better. The block that I remove is most often is just their tight ass, which causes so many problems in this world, you know, it's not even funny. But people think it's, oh, it's my bad feet, or my mother had bad feet or bad knees, or it's my back, it's my herniation, it's the spondyl, you know, stenosis or arthritis. When really, because I know this, because I do nothing for that other stuff. You do cool stuff for the other stuff.
I do.
I don't. I do one thing. I help that muscle fiber change back to optimal tone so the nerve can flow through and they get out of pain. And the best news is you just use your hands. Yeah, you use your hands. But like you said before, I can teach you how to use your own hands because I'm busy. I got home at 1. I worked yesterday from 4:30 a.m. and I got home at 1 a.m. And I'm 55 years old. And I don't know, 20 years from now, I don't think I'll be doing that. So if I can teach you how to fix your own tight ass, that is such a win, you know?
I thought we all wanted a tight ass. I mean, didn't we grow up wanted a tight ass, or is that something else?
I know. That's something that's we've been conditioned to believe. But what I like to, just a verbiage thing, it's good to have a firm ass, but not a tight ass.
Oh, that's why I did all the squats when I was a gymnast.
Yes. A firm ass. Because also tight ass has the cheapness connotation too. So you may be in pain and cheap, which is never a good combination, right?
Right. Everything. Oh no.
So just a firm ass. So, it's like, oh, it's a very nice firm ass. So I like that. Like I renamed sciatica, right? So sciatica is just a nerve that comes out of your ass, right? It's not actually a thing. Yeah. So the thing is, the sciatic nerve is your nerve is as big as your thumb. But like when you have elbow pain, you don't say, I have ulnar or I have radial, depending on where your pain is. Sciatica is caused probably 95% of the time from tight ass, right? Mm-hmm. So I call it tight assica. Tight assica.
There you go. So what are the things that when people come in to see you, what are the questions that you're getting every day?
I think the biggest questions kind of have this theme to them, like, why do I have, I think one of the biggest questions is actually, how did I get this way? How did I get this way? How did I get this way? Why can't I raise my arm? Why can't I turn my head? Why do my feet hurt in every kind of shoe except for these bubble wrap sneakers? And I take the question very seriously, and I look at them and I say, I don't know. I just met you, right? Mm-hmm. I mean, so sometimes I don't even know why I get tight, and hurting. And sometimes I can trace it back. Like last year I was working and I was on my massage table, and I kind of have a big ass. So anyways, I was at the end of the table and the client was like a little hard of hearing. So I should have just said, move up, but I didn't. So the next thing I knew is I fell over backwards and really far without any hands to block me. And I smashed my head against the wall behind me.
Okay.
And I'm heavy. I'm like, okay, I want to say it on radio or whatever, but heavy. And so I hit really.
So pause, right?
But my point is,
I hit body bags. So there's no judgment on our body bags.
Okay. I hit my head really hard. That was just my point.
Okay.
And so in that moment, I knew exactly why I got tight and not right? I mean, I knew, yes, I fell off my table, but sometimes it's because my cat slept on my head, right? So I always say, I don't know, I just met you. But as we go through life, we all have stuff happen to us, whether it's, missing that last stair and falling, or tripping off a curb. Or I actually, just yesterday, I was on the phone with you, remember? And I witnessed a car accident.
Yeah.
Like, somebody was hurt, like, badly, but it just, like that, your whole life can change. Mm-hmm. But the biggest problem is when we go through life, we have falls, we have sleeping funny, so being in funny positions. I'm just going to name the 5 reasons we get tight, right?
Yep.
So trauma's falls, people can mostly know that one. Holding a position too long. So
absolutely.
One time I went to Australia and I stood up and I got the cheap seats. So it was like, it took me like forever to get there. I stood up and it felt like somebody just did like a Nancy Kerrigan on my knee. And then I started thinking, oh yeah, I had that knee injury. I had this, I had that. And I thought, it's none of those things. My quad is tight. And so I limped off the plane holding all the seats, right? And I went inside, I laid down, I treated both legs for 2 minutes each, and I jogged to the baggage claim. And in my head, I thought, how many people just got off that plane thinking, it's my old injury, it's my arthritis. You know, we talked about that story.
Yeah, living in the past, the story. What
So
are some other ways that people today are having this, like this holding pattern? Maybe they're not on a flight, right? Where else in their lives could they be experiencing this, that they could relate to what you're talking about? I mean, we're sitting in front of our computers all day too, right? I mean, maybe
that's a good point. So that's one of the things I see the most. And it's that holding a position too long. So the brain says, oh, your head is going out front. I'm going to tighten up all these muscles in your upper back to give you support. It's like the body is trying to be supportive. People always say, like, can you just cut my arm off? I want a new neck. My feet are bad, like those little Bratz dolls. Remember, you took the feet off and put new ones on, It's like, we can't do that, right?
No.
So, yeah. So, but once everything is moving and everything's optimal tone, then you can do little things as you go through life. Like, I call it like a computer marathon, those days where you just don't even get up. You're just so obsessed with what you're doing.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. But it's not like, so some people say, well, I hurt because I stand all day. I got that one the other day. I had a 35-year-old and they said, well, I've had a job for 6 months but I know why I hurt, because I stand all day. I'm like, well, I've been standing and bending over and pulling for 30 years. Like, so anyways, the reason why they hurt is because why? Somewhere in their body, they have a chronically contracted muscle that's pressing on a nerve. Actually doing stuff, right? So if I did this, like, ooh,
move around,
yeah, the body loves that.
So you're saying that people should have more activity, especially given that they're sitting in front of a computer every single day in front of, like at home working. Is that right?
Yeah. I mean, I think everybody kind of knows that activity is good, and you're absolutely right. But what I'm saying is that once all your muscles have optimal tone, then it's okay to sit for long periods of time. It's okay to, sit on a plane. Like, you have tools. If your body in a second says, mommy, my quad is really tight from sitting too long, that you can just use your hands in just a couple minutes and get that memory back. And then you don't have to do it anymore. It's not like something you got to do every day. Like, I'll give you an example. This is of something that happens to all of us, right? You wake up and you turn and look at the clock, and all of a sudden you're like, oh, what do I have? What do we call it? What do you call it? How do you call it?
Crick. Or no, that's not your yeah.
Crick. If you're from West Virginia, you go creek. But
right?
Yeah. I want to get a list, because there's, in different languages, people call it, different things. So, but you get a crick. And so but that happens to all of us. So it's not that we have to stop sleeping, right? Or move while we were sleeping. Like, life is life. Sometimes you're moving, sometimes you're still. But if you can actually treat yourself, you know what I mean? Just treat yourself with a crick. I mean, I've woken up with some, and then the crick, people don't relate this, but have you ever woken up and the room is spinning? Have you ever had that?
I have not.
Okay, so 30% of my clients have vertigo. And most vertigo, and when I say this is not the only reason for things, but so far every single person I've seen with vertigo is because a chronically contracted muscle along a nerve pathway that goes to the eyes is compromised. And if you can free up that nerve pathway, even if you've been in bed for 3 years with vertigo, I've never had a client over 5 visits that did not feel better with vertigo.
Amazing. You know, we're going to go to commercial break here in about 2 seconds here, it looks like. So, yep, here we go. Hold on. And there we go.
We have an opportunity to transform the whole global society in the next 50 years. 50 years from now, the Earth will be populated by a new generation of adults, many of whom are yet unborn.
Okay. So
Our mission is to nurture them in childhood with love, guidance, and protection, and to raise them into healthy, happy families. If we impart values of compassion, generosity, and respect for fellow human beings in the next generation of children, they will create a world where people can live together in peace.
I have a few commercials.
This is our goal. Be a part of the transformation. Get your
Are we off now?
So we're on Facebook, but we're off Blog Talk.
Okay.
And we're on YouTube. Yeah.
www.naimahlatif.com.
Okay. And oh, should be running, but it's not running. We'll try that one more time. There we go.
Are you constantly arguing with your spouse? Are your children misbehaving and acting out? Someone in your family abusing drugs? Have you been victim of domestic violence?
Thank you, Zelda. Through everyone's looking at my nose.
At Serenity Advantage Social Services, we understand that your mental health is a result of emotional well-being. Assist you and your family in removing emotional distress and restoring harmony and balance to your lives. We offer individual, couples.
Every time I have to look up at the screen,
I'm Howard Williams.
you get to look up my nose. It's, you know, it's a beautiful thing.
Call today is 312-315-4820. That's 312-315-4820.
One more commercial after this.
Do you want to live in a world without war? Join our global peace movement. Heavenly Culture World Peace Restoration of Life transcends culture, religion, ideology, and other boundaries to achieve peaceful harmony in the global society.
So I have to invite people to call in.
World peace and cessation of war through peaceful dialogue between religious groups. I'm Director Suson of the HWPI Chicago branch of North America. Join us for our next gathering called.
So welcome back, everybody. So if anybody has
Email us at ChicagoHWPL
oops,
at gmail.
there was a long pause. Okay, so now we're back. We were just kidding the first time, just saying. So if anybody has questions for Stephanie Hunter, please call in at 515-605-9325 and press 1 to speak. Looks like we may have, nope, we don't have a caller yet. But again, I'll repeat that number slowly. Call in to 515-05-9325 and press 1 to speak. Also, follow us on Suson Essentials for LinkedIn, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube. And don't forget to subscribe. You know, Stephanie, how can people reach you if they want to learn more about the Hunter method and how to relieve pain? And I think you called it the constricted muscle. Forgive me if I got that wrong. How do they reach out to you?
My website is doyouhunter.com, all spelled out, doyouhunter.com. And that's everything about Hunter Method. And there's different applications for it. So we have a center in Jupiter for people that I've trained therapists who are certified in Hunter method. And so when people have more difficult issues, they come to Jupiter. We have people that fly in from all over. And there's also courses, what I was talking about before, that you can actually learn how to treat yourself. And
we actually have 2 people in the queue that have questions for you.
okay, I'll see if I can answer.
Okay, so we're gonna bring on 773-366. Hold on here. All right.
Yes.
Good morning.
Grand Rising. Yes, I wanted to certainly thank Stephanie for this groundbreaking information. I think people just believe that they're supposed to be in pain. One of the things I wanted to ask about, because all of us have been indoctrinated with the thought that you're supposed to hurt. But how receptive have those who are in the traditional medical field, where they want to prescribe painkillers to you as opposed to working with other methods, how receptive have they been to being willing to learn a different way and a different thought so that we can actually get rid of the chemical-based relief of pain?
Great question.
Yeah, that is a great question. And I've thought about that a lot because during my career, I would get really frustrated because I think one of the things that wakes me up every morning early is I think about somebody who is just about to get on a medication they can't get off, who becomes a statistic, for Oxycontin. How many people have surgeries that they're forever hurt from? That the point is just try to take the least invasive approach first. I'm so happy that they have great methods, to fix our bones when they're broken, or at times we really, really, really need pain medicine, and that's wonderful. So I have, most of my last 30 years have been in my treatment room. I don't come out much. This is, I'm not very accomplished at doing this kind of thing, but in my little local place where I live, over the years, I've made relationships with doctors, and one of them, they say he's like the doctor for the doctors, and they refer to me. A lot of times they have absolutely no idea what I do. They say things like, I don't even know what they say. It's, just kind of they have no idea because they're very, very, very busy, right? But at least they refer. And my goal is to have it be another modality that they might say, hey, you may want to look into this. And in fact, in the state of Florida, that if somebody recommends, this is just for example, if they offer pain medicine, they have to also give a list of things that you may do instead. It's actually, it's kind of, the verbiage is kind of complex, but to say
it's in Illinois too. Don't quote me on that.
Yeah. So I think it's great. And I had this idea of saying, going around and saying but I'm so busy just working on people. But I always say that when people come to me, I work on their ass and I touch them and I make them feel better. When you go to the doctor, they prescribe medicine and do scans and do all these things. They don't touch your ass. A lot of times people say they never touched me. They never physically touched me. They just said, what's your pain? It's really bad. And then they gave medicine or whatever. So I imagine a world where all modalities are more in communication about hey, you may want to try this first. And, so I wish that they all knew about it. I am, I'm 55, but I am dedicating my rest of my life is to get this alternative method into the world so people can know about it. So they think like, let's try this first before we do something else. Some things you can't come back from.
It's very difficult to
yeah,
come back from drugs. It's difficult to come back. Synthetics. So let's talk about this just for a moment, because synthetics, our bodies don't recognize synthetics. And when we take synthetics, those synthetics get stored in our fat cells. And then it manifests in all different types of diseases that some come back from, like I did, and some never come back from. And so, Stephanie, I'm so glad that you're able to show people another path, you know, and the opportunity is for people to see that there are alternative, unconventional, as you put it, unconventional methods to get out of pain, right? It doesn't typically, the real solution doesn't come in a bottle. Well, sometimes it does, but it's a plant, you know, it's been put into powder form. It's just one of many solutions, but it's not Advil, is it? Or Tylenol. There's a statistic, and I forget what it is, but I was studying Dr. McGregor's work, who wrote How Not to Die. And actually more people die under the care of a medical doctor than what you would possibly want to imagine. And many people are sent to the ER because of Tylenol overdose or, you know, like that. I mean, I'm sure you've heard a lot of that, Stephanie. Is that right?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Okay. Michael Jackson is supposed to have been an overdose of painkillers.
Yes.
They took him out.
Yes.
Yeah.
And we're in a do more society. We're a do more society. And actually, I think you need to do less. Yeah. Right? I mean, you know, you don't have to do more. You just have to pinpoint and do the one thing that makes the difference for you and your body, for your body bag.
I think too that, you know, I mean, my focus has been on the people that have been really trying to do natural things, you know, so if that they're really searching and then they think like, but I'm stretching and I'm doing this, I'm drinking bone broth and I'm meditating, I'm de-stressing and I'm still in pain and they're frustrated. So the people that really like just say, okay, I'm just gonna just give up and just, you know, take this strong medicine. So, but when those don't work, and so, you know, Hunter method works. I had a client, he says, I said, what do you tell people about Hunter method? He says, I tell them it's that thing that works when nothing else does. So that it, you know, that it's like, if you can just free up, I just like talking about tight ass, but when your ass feels good, I'll give you an example. I had a man that was, he's a client's grandpa. And they said for 19 years, he's been in such pain with sciatica and he can't drive. He can't drive in your car. And he just takes so much medicine. I put my hand on his liver. He didn't speak English. So I learned Spanish, like empuje, like push. And I try to communicate. But at one point, I put my hand on his liver. And it felt like a football was like shoved up underneath his ribs. Liver disease is up by like 850% or something. The British Journal Medicine did a study. Anyways, it's unbelievable from all the medicines, right?
Right.
And I put my hand in his liver and I looked at his grandson. I said, what the hell? And he's like, oh my gosh, he takes everything. But his story was 19 years in pain. Do you know how many treatments it was? It was a moves that I could teach anybody, right? 2 treatments, and he was able to drive to Key West, a 4.5-hour drive, and get out and spend the weekend with his family. And so to me, that just gives you hope that it's like there is another way. And I feel like I'm a little too old to really, I don't know, when you want a fine meal, you go to a nice restaurant and you get a fine meal. If you want a slushie, you go to 7-Eleven. That we have different choices to do. And when people say like, well, why does my doctor always give me medicine? I'm like, because that's what he's trained to do. He's not being a bad person. He's really accomplished at figuring out what medicines your body can use. He's not bad. But if you come to me, I'm never going to give you medicine because I'm not authorized to. And all I do is I use my little hands on your ass and make you feel better. So nobody's bad or good. We're just different. And we can't all be the same.
Well, yeah, I mean, and let's talk about that for a moment, because MDs are needed in this world, right? You break a bone, you have a heart attack, you want an MD, right? You slice open your arm like on something, God forbid, poo poo poo. You want an MD to stitch you up. For everything else, you want to look at what you can use in nature, what you can use yourself, like through what you teach with the Hunter method and using different points on the body with a specific movement. You want exercise, you want breathing, you want meditation. There's so many things even that you can do for free. You want music, frequencies. There's so many options. And there's something else that you mentioned, Stephanie. You said you helped this man in 2 sessions. How many times do you think someone goes to a doctor for pain? And I mean, how many doctors? You told me the other day that some of your clients see how many people before they get to you?
At least the average is 5, and we have people that have done 30 things. Mm-hmm. I actually keep track of our results too, because I always say when I meet with somebody, I go, I like you already. I don't want you to move in. You know what I mean? Like, right. We don't get a year program, like you're not going to graduate. And I used a client retention management program, what do they call it? CRM. But instead of putting in places, I put in sciatica, torticollis, back pain, neck pain, whatever. And so when you come in, the girls put it into the computer. And when you say, I feel significant relief, I can turn my head now. I am so thrilled. I can't wait to tell people. We put it in and we say, how many sessions? And they'll say 5 sessions, 7 sessions. And our statistics is 87% of the people feel significant results in 5 visits or less. Sometimes it's over 10, sometimes it's 50 for the really harder cases, but it's a very short thing. It's not a really long thing. And most people have at least one main condition.
So yeah, I apologize. Can you repeat that? Because I accidentally muted us. First time radio talk show host. Oops. So, and why don't you go ahead and answer that? And then I'm going to take the next caller, which is 708-677, and like that. So let me just go here. But go ahead and answer that again if you could.
What I want is, I'd like the caller to, I want to make sure that I'm answering the question in terms of what she had asked, because I know that I've got so many ideas and things in my head. I want to make sure that you feel like I answered the question. Can you lead me to be so I can help you more?
So she's actually just off. So why don't I take the next caller?
Okay.
Give me 1 minute. So we're going to go with caller 708-677. We promise not to mute anybody anymore. Okay, you're going to come on live here in a minute. Good morning. Who do we have?
Grand Rising. This is Maika, and welcome to the Female Solution.
Thank you, Maika. Thank you for having me. What's your question for Stephanie?
Hey. Well, Stephanie, thank you for being on. I went to your website. I've been a healer all of my adult life. Right now, I focus on emotional healing, last year, for the first time, my body was racked with physical pain. I never experienced physical pain before. Basically, that pain is all gone now. I was able to work it out, dealing with emotional healing. However, recognizing the degree of pain that people come in, I've developed a new interest in solving the pain problem. So when I went to your website, I noticed that in your training, you have to be either a massage therapist or a physical therapist. I've never really wanted to do either, body-based work. But I'm wondering, is there a way to learn your technique for self-care?
Yes.
Question. Great question. So Stephanie, take that away.
So there is, in fact, it's my my number one thing that I wanted to put out into the world is the self-treatment. And so I have upper body self-treatment, lower body self-treatment. And if you click on the courses button, then you can see those things explained. And and I tell people, if you work on a friend or a family member or whatever, or you figure out from the self-treatment how to help your friend. I just had a young man, he said his mom came to visit him at Christmas and she got out of the car and she couldn't, she was in so much pain, she was crying, and he says, I'm going to do Hunter on you. And he had learned from the self-treatment and he worked on her and she was good. So I freely give that self-treatment, like you can work on your friends. Now, legally, you can't charge and you can't say that you're, and it depends on states. Some states, don't. The self-treatment, exactly that, it's self-treatment. For the therapy treatment, when I'm working on you, yes, you need to have a license to touch, which is most of the people I teach are massage therapists. To date, I've only taught people who work for me. So I am going to be coming out with a training for therapists. I have a lot of requests, and if you're one of those people that have written to me, I'm sorry. I wanted to get the self-treatment out first. I had to make a decision. But I think that if you get the self-treatment, you will be able to help yourself. And I love that. So beautiful. And like I said, I hear you, the emotional healing and the pain, like it's just so huge. So anyway, so it's all just a combination of things, right, that help us. But the self-treatment is that just says courses. There are little lines at the top, those little ding dings, a little menu at the top. And I think it's across the top too, courses. I don't go on there much. But if you go through that and you have any questions, you can reach out to me directly.
Yeah, Stephanie, I don't see courses on your website. Maybe.
Are you on doyouhunter.com? Are you on Hunter Method?
Hunter Method. What do you want me to
Okay, so that is my old website. So go to doyouhunter.com, just spelled out. So the Do You Hunter website was launched on December 23rd. And because I didn't have as much information still about the center, I kept both websites live. And I'm sorry if there's confusion. So both websites have information, but the doyouhunter.com has all the current information. And
so I'll spell that. It's DOYOU Hunter, HUNT is in Tom, ER.com. And we will put that in the Facebook post. Okay, good.
Yeah. All right. I'm so glad that you brought that up. And I said it earlier in the show, but I will change it. So all the information is at doyouhunter.com. The Do You Hunter was a funny thing. I had a lady that was at a traffic light, and she was, the lady next to her said, roll down your window. And so she rolled down her window and she's like, hey, are you, because the woman was working on her own neck, and she says, hey, do you Hunter? And she's like, I do. And they like kind of laughed and like, they were like at a club. So that's why I call it Do You Hunter, because whether you do Hunter to yourself or to your spouse, or you come into the center and you get professional treatment. It's all Hunter. So.
Wonderful. That's wonderful. Now, how long is this treatment? Because I live in Chicago. So how long would I have to be in Florida to learn to do your other methods?
So that's a good question. And my answer really is, at this point, I don't know. So let's say, I mean, you can learn the self-treatment, right? But then you say, and you said, I don't want to be a PT or a massage therapist. But in order to train you as a therapist, you need to have a massage license. I believe Illinois is kind of the same as Florida. So let's say you have a license. My idea is to have an online training first where you learn all the stuff for your head, and then I'll pop up. And I am from Chicago, so that's definitely, and my daughter lives there, so it's definitely someplace where I will do an in-person training for sure in the future. So,
Kind of a training course for you here? Wonderful.
You broke out just a little bit.
So she said you do training here. That's wonderful.
I will, like in the future. Like I don't have a schedule yet, but I have 3 places in mind. So in my world, I have people ask me all the time, when are you going to train? When are you going to train? And so I got the self-treatment up. And so now my next goal is to get the therapy training. And I have people in a lot of people in Chicago, Arizona. Well, there's like 5 places actually. I will pop up. So, but you can call me and I discuss, because you do need to be a massage therapist if you're going to work on other people and charge. But it's fun and easy to learn. It's not more intuitive. And you can call me and I discuss, you do need to be a massage therapist if you're going to work on
getting feedback.
charge. But it's
We're getting
fun and easy to learn. It's not more intuitive. And you can call me and I discuss, you do need to be a massage.
Okay, I think we were getting feedback because Zelda, your phone was still on, so I just muted you for a moment. So, okay. So we're getting feedback because Zelda, your phone was still on, so I just muted you for a moment. So Zelda's on StreamYard, and you're on. Yeah. So okay, I think we're all good now on audio. Does everyone?
So ask Zelda to get off StreamYard, because that's creating an echo.
The echo's on now.
I just closed out Facebook, so that was the problem.
Oh, she pulled out Facebook. That was the issue. We're good. I think we've got good sound quality now.
Oh, okay, good.
So, Stephanie, meet my soul sister, Zelda.
Hi.
So you actually has another question. Forgive me. Learning how to manage. Maika, what's your other question?
My other question is, if you are a massage therapist, how long is the training?
So if you are a massage therapist, how long is the training?
I don't know yet because I've always trained inside. And so I honestly don't know, but it's not like a year or anything like that. It's like my idea is to have a course online and then pass a quiz on that. So nerve pathways, C3 goes to the eyes, and you learn that. And then I pop up and I meet you in Chicago, and you have a long weekend, like a 4-day class, and you can learn the basics. And then you want to know more, I pop up again and we keep going. But I made it so it can move past me. It's not so difficult. And it's not, so I honestly don't know, but when I have it all, played out or, all done, I will let you know.
So we are going to go to commercial break as soon as I find the commercial. Little humor here.
You're doing good, Jodi.
Here we go. There we go. It's not playing. I'm going to try again. There we go. So the solar energy commercial doesn't seem to want to play, so we're just going to move
I'll
on.
play it for you, Jodi. I'll play it.
Thank you, Dolly.
Oh man, God sent the monthly time bill today. This
There you
sunlight
go.
is expensive,
Thank you.
especially during this season. I'll probably have to work overtime to pay it.
Well, you better pay it on time. We don't want the sun to go out and we're sitting up here all day in the dark. Wouldn't it be terrible if God charged us for sunlight? Well, thank God, the light and heat from the sun is free. So why are we paying such high bills for the energy we use in our homes? Because we don't know how to use solar energy, the free energy from the sun. You can convert your regular home to a solar energy home and save tremendously on your electric bill. Take a look at your electric bill. Would you like to reduce or possibly even eliminate that cost altogether? Let one of our solar consultants show you how. Call today, 312-849-3456, and schedule a free consultation. That's 312-849-3456.
All right. And the next one is the media connection. So that's really interesting. I keep on hitting the go button and it doesn't want to go. Oh, there it goes.
And I'm Lucy. Meet people like you who are making a positive difference in the world. Watch us every day on the Media Connection at www.youtube.com/themediaconnection.tv.
I got you, Jodi.
Oh, you got it? Thank you.
To make a positive difference in the world. Our job is to bring you their stories to motivate you to do the same. Join us each week, John Alexander and Naima Latif, as we bring you the educators, entertainers, elected officials, religious leaders, and community activists whose work are transforming this world. Find out how you can make a difference too. Be inspired. Watch the Media Connection. Mondays at 5 p.m. and Tuesdays at 12 noon on cable TV, Channel 19 in Chicago. And other cities.
One more.
Yep.
I'm Beata, your holistic life coach. These days, it's more important than ever to work on your physical, mental, emotional, and spiritual health. Are you consciously breathing deeply in stressful moments? Do you have a plan or daily routine to maintain balance in your awesome body? Are you struggling to be disciplined in your eating habits? When you partner with me, I'll help you develop a personalized health plan that works for your particular lifestyle. You can find out more about me at yourholisticlifecoach.com, where you can also review my 3-step protocol to guide you to abundant health. That's yourholisticlifecoach.com, and I'm Beata.
And we have a couple more callers in. Do you want to take Zelda's question first or take callers?
Stephanie.
Oh, yes.
Would you like to take callers first, or do you want to answer Zelda's question first?
I would love, yeah, let's answer Zelda's question.
So I can get off of here and you ladies can continue the show. Thank you so much for being on the show today, because I'm like, she's telling my story and she don't even know me. Congratulations on a wonderful first show. I felt it in my spirit that you would be an excellent choice for the female solution. So kudos.
Oh, thank
You
you.
are doing a wonderful job. You are doing a wonderful service by having Stephanie on here, because I went to therapy yesterday and it's like what you say, Stephanie, is so very true. I left there, and as I'm standing at the desk of my physical therapist, I have hip issues. And just for one moment, I said, wow, there's no pain. I have no pain. So the fact that my therapist touched me in ways on my hips, on my knees, and my ankle and my thighs that don't get touched like that, it proves what you say is authentic, because pills are not the answer. And now I understand that therapy is not the only answer, because I have to keep going back, and it's expensive. So I am most excited about the Hunter method. So please, please, please give me that tight ass I once had. So
You
thank
know,
you so much.
you talk about the expenses. Chronic pain costs $635 billion a year.
Wow.
$635 billion a year. So if you're seeing Stephanie, right, you can cut that cost down just a little bit.
I look forward to that. I certainly look forward to that. And I want, I'm like Maika. I want to be a part of that training. And I also want to be able to do some little hands-on practicing with myself, because I know what you say, Stephanie, about the power of touch. It's like, I cannot believe I literally felt 100% no pain. But by the time I got back home and woke up this morning, there was some more pain.
Mhm.
And sitting, sitting is the new smoking. So we're all doing ourselves a disservice by sitting all day. So, we're locked in our minds before we're ever locked in the physical body. So my question to you is, what technique can we use immediately to help relieve some of the pain? And thanks to Naima, on I think it was a couple of weeks ago, I had I can't remember who was on the show, but I was in so much pain I had to get up because I couldn't sit still for 2 hours, and I was rocking back and forth. And Naima said, "What's wrong?" And I'm telling her I need to move because my hips are locking now. I feel that pain. So we started the higher learning hip roll. We're just moving back and forward on the air doing the higher learning hip roll. But I want to eliminate that higher learning hip roll. I want to do something else. I want to use the Hunter method. I want to find out what that is and use that. So thank you very much for being a blessing to our blog talk and family and audience.
How do we help people to enroll in learning how to use the Hunter method? Don't you have a new program out now, like where they can do self-care?
Yes, and so that's at doyouhunter.com, and we
Very
have
good.
the upper body and the lower body, and yeah, and I love what you just said, and it's like, when you feel it in your own body, when your body changes, you can't dismiss it. You know what just happened.
Thank you.
And whether you get 10 minutes or an hour or a day, that's awesome, of pain relief.
Mm-hmm.
You know it can exist.
Mm-hmm.
I always tell people, if it really was, sometimes people say, well, it's because of my herniated, protruding, bulging disc, my arthritis, my stenosis, or whatever. If it was truly from a bony something, I always think of bony something. I always say bayonet, but I've never actually seen a bayonet. But like, if you had an arrow in your ass, there's nothing, my touch, your therapist touch, nobody is going to make it go away. If it's truly a hardware issue, you've got to get the arrow out of your ass.
Mm.
But if somebody can touch you, or you can touch yourself and get out of pain, you just prove to yourself that it's not just arthritis in your hips, that you have tight ass, tight hip flexors, tight quad that is pressing on nerve, causing a problem.
Mm-hmm.
My husband had a piece of disc that broke off, lodged in the nerve root, and for 6 weeks he just dragged his leg behind him, fell out of his truck, and he had tear streams on his face, and he never had 20 seconds of pain relief. And even from really heavy pain drugs, that they just made him hallucinate and think that he thought the cat was attacking him. So he just had the surgery. They took that piece of bone out, and the next day he was fine. But most people, it's because they have a muscle somewhere pressing on a nerve. So that, in terms of like teaching you, so there's been questions about, do I be a therapist or whatever? My goal is to be able to teach you yourself how to do it. So the upper body class and I have the lower body class or the lower body and upper body bundle. And it teaches every single body part. So you mentioned your hip. It would give you moves right away. First I teach how to do it, how to touch, what it is exactly. And they're like 3-minute videos, 7 minutes. I know you're busy. Jodi told me about you. So I know you're busy. You don't have a ton of time to learn, sit in front of a 45-minute lecture. I made it as simple as I could. But I was thinking, like, trying to teach you guys online here to walk away, I would do a disservice because it would be kind of half-assed. You know what I mean? But
it's all about the ass, right?
Yeah. But I just want to tell you that the 3 things that Hunter Method is, so you can make a change by doing different things, but for the brain to get as much information, so your body heals itself. Because what you just said was, I felt good for an hour, a minute, or whatever. You woke up, you were still in pain. So what if I could tell you that once the muscle is no longer tight, no matter how much you sit at your computer, like I said yesterday, I literally was up at 4:30. I took clients from 8:30 all day. Then I saw a client at night. And then I drove home 45 minutes on 995. And I got home at 1 a.m. And I woke up this morning at whenever, 5:30. And I have energy and I do not hurt anywhere. I could have that for you. You don't have to do X, Y, and Z every day. My courses, pretty much probably 80% of the things that ail people, my courses will teach you how to get out of pain. There's like 20%. If you have vertigo yourself, it's sometimes, you're not going to want to work on yourself. If you have severe scoliosis, if you have Parkinson's, MS, different things, you're not going to be able to work on yourself. But what I see in you is you're a healthy type person. You have pain, but basically you're healthy. And it's getting in your way of just, I like this one, when you move your butt, when you're like, I see people that, I had this one lady, she said, oh, I know what she was doing. She, like, every 15 seconds, she'd go like this and she'd stretch. She thought that, so I'm not going to get into it too much, but stretching actually makes us much worse.
Thank you.
Yes. So you knew that because and I'm going to explain it really simply. And this is really the whole ground thing of what I do. Your body has millions of little receptors all over it. Okay. Think of them as like special ops, like ninja receptors, like to keep you safe, right? Your little security guards. And we have, if you were sleeping and I put a chemical on your skin, you'd wake up because the little receptors would tell your brain, she put some weird shit on my arm when I was sleeping, right? So I'm not going to do that. But one of the receptors is called a stretch receptor. And when the body stretches farther than it wants to go, right? The little receptor will tell the brain, hey, brain, something happened. I got stretched too much. And the brain will say, oh, thank you, stretch receptor. I will make a chemical change and tighten that part of your body up. And so Jodi and I, we were talking about this. I was a gymnast when I was younger, and she was asking me, like, well, who was your coach or whatever, but I'm super bendy. In fact, at 55, I do gymnastics in the backyard, which really cracks out my friend Angela because she knows I'm kind of heavy set, and especially for her thinking that I'm doing cartwheels and walking on my hands just makes her laugh so hard. But
wow.
But the thing is, I don't stretch. So the thing is, I'm stretchy. I'm bendy. I like just to call it bendy. I'm bendy, but you know what happens to me when I stretch too far? I get tight. I went to a yoga class like a year ago, and I make sure none of these things are bad. To people that is yoga bad? I'm like, no, yoga's not bad. But the only thing is overstretching is too bad. Or thinking that if I like pull on my head hard enough, then I'm going to get a stretchier neck. No, it may feel good in a second while you're doing it, but the next morning you're going to wake up and go, crap, I can't turn my head. And so people feel like the shame thing about like, oh, I need to stretch more. I don't stretch enough. And I always say, good. You got to move. And we talked about that before. Jodi, you mentioned that. So
Right.
like sitting at the desk, contracting and relaxing our muscles, that's all good.
I want to share something with you, Susan. In 2013, I had an accident where I broke my ankle. I've got 2 plates and 16 pins in my ankle. And when it gets cold like this, I ache. I'll put it like that. So I started going to physical therapy again because I love therapy. I always feel good afterwards. And so the tightness is in the ankle, and the IT band is what my physical therapist told me. So I have this long green strap to help me stretch over the hip over. But I've noticed recently, after I stretch, when I go to get up off the floor, I can't get up because that hip is so tight. And now the pain is traveling to my groin. And it's like, I'm not doing that anymore. I'm not stretching that hard anymore. I'm not going to do that.
Right.
Because
So
I'm throwing money down the drain, and I'm still in pain.
So the thing is that I always tell people, you're not made out of Play-Doh.
Thank you.
I haven't touched you yet, but I know you are not made out of clay. You are not made out of Play-Doh. You're made out of, you're choking on yourself.
I'm choking on the coffee.
I'm made out of coffee, but but that's different. But and the other thing too is you mentioned the IT band. The IT band is like, it doesn't have any blood flow and it doesn't get stretchier. It really is your outside quad muscle. But that's something that you learn. In fact, I have a section of my course, this one's made for you, called Legs, Knees, and ITT. I call it Legs, Knees, and ITT because it rhymed. But I never do anything. You will never help an ITT, but you'll help a vastus lateralis, which is a fancy name for my outside quad muscle.
Okay.
But you're listening to yourself. And the thing is, I tell everybody, just listen to your own body. If somebody tells you something, try it out. That might help other people. I don't know. But all I know is that wouldn't help me. It would make me tighter if I tried to stretch really hard. But if you can get your quad muscle to not have any tightness in it by, Jodi asked me, she's like, can you show something online or something, you know what I mean, to show what Hunter method is. So I'm just going to take a second here, just with your case, explain what that would entail, right?
Okay.
Just visually. So Hunter method is a muscle therapy that changes muscle memory and gets people out of pain. And we use specialized touch. When I teach the touch, I made 4 or 5 videos, little teeny tiny videos to explain how you touch. And you know the difference between somebody who can touch and somebody who, how it feels right? If you just take your arm and go, have you ever had somebody touch you like this? And you're like, don't do that. And when you have a trained, when you say that person has the touch. So anyways, I actually teach this now because I didn't know that I had the touch, but I could actually teach you to have the touch.
Please.
I hate when people call me a healer. I don't know why. I feel like Jesus was a healer. Other people are healers, but I do help.
You're an assistant.
Yeah, exactly.
And we all have Jesus in us, right?
Yeah.
So
the thing is, Jodi and I have the same expression. So I've been yelling at people for years going, you are a healing machine. And Jodi says, that's my thing. So Zelda, you're a healing machine. So that I can teach you. So there's 3 things: touch, movement, and blocking. So those 3 elements, so it's really easy. Touch and movement, and then actually blocking into something. I don't know, yeah, you can see my hand here. Blocking into something. So we're trying to get as much information to the brain as possible. And then when you stand up, so this is what it would look like. I'm just going to explain it visually, just so you can see. It's not super hard. I'm not super smart or anything. You lay down on the ground. You put your leg up on a chair like an ottoman. So now your leg is up over the chair. You kind of raise your head up just a little bit so you can easily touch your leg. You push your ankle down into the ottoman. You go push, push. So now you're firing or contracting your hamstring. So can you imagine that? You're laying, you got your leg up, your leg is bent, and then you're going to touch your quad muscle and you're going to sink, and I teach this in the thing, but you're going to sink your hands really, really gently and then push. And at the same time you're touching your quad muscle, you're going to push your foot very gently into the ottoman. So you can kind of visualize this. It's like, it's not a big deal. I do this in airports, you know, like I said, when I got off the plane, I did it in an airport. And you have, I split the leg up into 3, so it's easier, right? But you're touching and moving your leg, and that changes the muscle memory. Not right then, but when you stand up to gravity, your brain will say, huh, I was moving. Those receptors, remember the security guards? They were being touched. And then the reason why I have that isometric contraction or blocking where you push into something is because it causes more muscles to fire. So it's really, really simple. And once you get the concept, you can actually figure out stuff on your own body. In my courses, I go through, so upper body has face. People have tight face. They have trigeminal neuralgia. They have blinky eye. They have Bell's palsy. They have eye strain. Neck, shoulder, and hand. And in the low body, I have ass. I just call it ass because it's like, it's my favorite word. Ass, legs,
or tissue, right?
Legs, knees, and ITT, right? Foot, and psoas and hip. So, but that's, you know, you're getting and doing your exercises anyways, but to be able just to lay down, touch your own leg in a specialized way. I teach you how to do it. Push gently onto the ottoman, push, push, push. And it's not like 62 minutes. It's 10 touches. Take a little break, 10 touches. And you mentioned it's like, maybe it's your right leg that hurts more. Doesn't matter. We're
The
all
only leg that
body.
hurts.
You got to do both sides. So then you do the other side.
Balance.
And yeah, and we don't, so the nerves, sometimes people think it's all their right hip, and it's actually their left hip. And they've been, so think about you. You had the 16 the screws and the plates in your ankle. And so when you hurt your ankle, first of all, when you hurt your ankle, all those muscles got scared and tight. So all around the whole ankle, I just had somebody that fell out of a tree in Africa 16 years ago, straight down, shattered his foot. But we're now so many years later, but was still bothering him. Yes, your screws and everything, when it gets cold, you'll feel that inflammation. But the other part of that is the tight muscles. When you hurt yourself, you still have chronically contracted, tight, scared muscles. And once you get them all moving again, you're like, oh my God, I have so much less pain. In fact, I just recently had 2 bad ankles. One was falling out of the tree in Africa while he was trying to take a photograph. I can't remember what the other one, but anyway, it doesn't matter. I love people's stories. Everybody has a story, right? But picture, instead of you taking that band and still taking the whatever that you have. And the other thing too is, what do you always have with you? You know, let's say you're on a beach in Bermuda, and from sitting on the plane too long, even though you haven't thought about your hip for years, it feels a little stiff. You're going to just drag over a beach chair. You're going to do 2 minutes on this leg, 2 minutes on this leg. And then what are you going to say to yourself? I'm good, right? You're like, I healed myself. So that's what I want. I want for everybody to be able to heal themselves.
Yes, ma'am. Absolutely.
Hair is amazing. You know, we have a caller. We have a couple callers. Stephanie, are you ready for a few questions?
Okay, thank you. I'm going to leave and just listen now. Thank you so much.
Thank you. I'll call you.
All right. Thank you. I'll call you.
Okay.
Bye.
All right. So we have, let me just do this. Okay. So there we go. So we have caller 737. I'm going to bring you into the queue. Give me one moment here, and then we'll go to commercial break soon. Hello. You're here with Self Care with Jodi Suson and Stephanie Hunter. And who do we have the pleasure of speaking with? Who's this?
Hallelujah greetings.
Hallelujah, greetings to you.
A grand rising. As a sister host for Weekend with Mama D, every fourth Saturday, I join the course and welcome you. And I too am interested in taking your physical therapy class to help with my own pain and to improve the art of laying on hands healing. Dr. Sadie, are you familiar with him and his self-proof?
And what's the name of the doctor that you're curious about? And this is Mama D?
No. Yeah, this is Mama D. Dr. Sadie was, he had a self-proof product, and he believed that all diseases was a matter of mucus. And if you cured the mucus, you got rid of the disease. So when he said he could be cured AIDS, they took him to jail. And there was a trial, and he won his case because he actually cured AIDS.
What did he, and what was the name of this doctor, Mama D?
Dr. Sadie.
Sabi? Do you know Dr. Sabi, Stephanie?
No, I do not.
Yeah, I don't know him either, but he said mucus was the cause of disease?
Mucus. He said if the mucus is in your chest, you call it one thing. If the mucus is in your lungs, you call it another thing. He had it, bronchitis, asthma, all the things, mucus moving around in the body. But he was very famous for his cell fruit. And what's feeling about your program is it has cells. So he believed that you feed the cells, and healthy cells get rid of disease also. But I have said that he claimed to have cured AIDS, and he had the x-rays and all of this evidence to prove it. When these people went to him, this is what they look like. After he treated the cells, this is what they look like, and he got rid of AIDS.
Well, sure. And so,
Jail.
but he got out of jail. Is that right?
Because he proved his case.
Yeah. And so here's the thing, when you take care of your cells, there are so many ways to approach keeping your body healthy. The Hunter method, of course, there's nutrition, proper eating, proper sleep, frequency healing. And I think that every disease is reversible. If it's a chronic disease, yeah.
This is what these people that he treated, they had AIDS. And it showed on the x-rays and all the tests and everything. And what I'm saying to you is, I think it was in New York, they took him to court because they were going to give him a lot of jail time for practicing medicine without a license. He said he wasn't practicing medicine. He was treating sales food. But anyway, what I wanted to say was I have not been able, since the lockdown, to swim once a week or go to my yoga class, chair one day, mat yoga the next day, twice a week. And my pain has increased. The fact I have stenosis in my spine. I've seen it on an x-ray and several different parts of my spine and cervical myopathy in my neck. Now, I have been avoiding surgery for the last 20 plus years because I refuse to take the surgery, I refuse to take the steroids, I refuse to take the pain management, which makes me a drug addict because I got to take these pills. Once you start taking them, do not stop. And the side effect is worse than the condition. So, but anyway, I haven't been able to have access to my regular kind of
physical therapy, although I just finished pelvic health physical therapy. So I wanted to join your class because I really believe in the healing art of touching. And one of the things that I think that senior citizens need and must and maybe food and water is to have touch. But many times when you're older, especially if you live alone, I don't, but if you live alone, you don't have that physical touch from another human being. And I think that it would be part of your medical treatment to have physical therapy, to just have the hands on. What do you think?
Well, you know what? We're going to answer your question right after the break. We're going to run a few commercials and we'll come right back and answer those questions. Does that sound good?
Yeah, it sounds wonderful.
Okay, so give me 1 second here and let me see. Okay, here we go. Naima.
Hi, I'm Naima Latif. Join me and my co-host Kareem Hamid every Wednesday morning, 7 a.m. to 9 a.m. on the Female Solution Radio Show as we explore that relationship that is the foundation for our society, the relationship between men and women, husbands and wives. Join our discussion as we seek to repair broken family ties and rebuild our community. Listen online at www.blogtalkradio.com/the-female-solution. Call in and comment 515-605-9325. Press 1 to speak to our host. Or you can join us live on Facebook at www.facebook.com/the-female-solution.
Okay, so then we got Zelda Speaks. You just saw Zelda. Let's see what we got here. And let's see if we can get that going. There we go. And while we're waiting for that to start, that promo, I wonder why it's delaying. But so they go to Do You Hunter, is that right? There we go.
Is Monday morning a struggle to get out of bed into the swing of things? Well, don't worry, you are not alone. Join us for thought-provoking, stimulating, and mindful conversations on higher learning with Zelda Speaks. Your Monday morning mindfulness session on Blog Talk Radio, The Female Solution. Mondays, 7:30 until 9 a.m. Be sure and send your ideas, thoughts, comments, and suggestions. Also, if you'd like to be a guest on the show, visit ZeldaSpeaks.com and send us your info. We'd love to have you. Experience mindfulness moments with the mindfulness/stress relief coach, Zelda Speaks. And thanks for sharing the mindfulness moment tip of the day. Stay on purpose, stay empowered, and stay tuned to your next session of mindfulness on higher learning with Zelda Speaks. Make it a mindful day. And thanks for listening.
Hey, it's time to take charge of your health. I'm Beata, your holistic life coach, and every Friday morning at 8 a.m. Eastern Daylight Time, I'm here on the Female Solution to empower you to make choices that will assist your evolution to abundant health. I'm also blogging every Sunday evening at 8 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time at Soul Purpose Healing, where I bring you a spiritual chiropractic adjustment to bring you back into alignment with our Creator's love, compassion, and wisdom. Join me every Friday morning at 8 a.m. and Sunday evening at 8 p.m. for a time of unity, enlightenment, and love vibration. Shalom.
We got a couple more commercials, so.
Hi, I'm Jodi Suson Essentials. I started Suson Essentials in 2015 because of a personal health journey. I was over-medicated and put on 19 different medications. And yes, I reversed all my chronic diseases using plant and energy-based healing. It was amazing. At Suson Essentials, we support both consumers and businesses. And we do that with helping your employees or yourself with a food as medicine mindset. How Suson Essentials supports businesses and consumers is we teach people about a food as medicine mindset. So we support people on how to support their own immune system, how to support their brain health, how to support their emotional well-being. And we do that all with plant and an energy-based healing.
With a simple blood test food plan, Suson Essentials will help your business, your family, and you eliminate toxins and create a step-by-step plan to nourish your mind, body, and spirit. Click here to learn more.
All right, so we are back, and so Mama D, would you kindly repeat your question so Stephanie can answer that for you, for the listeners? Yeah.
I said for over 20 years I have been resisting the surgery recommended because it was high risk. And the pain management, that meant you gotta be, once you start taking it, you not stop. I wasn't gonna volunteer to be a drug addict for the rest of my life, so that was out. And steroids were out because they told me that I wouldn't feel any pain at all. And so I said, well, if I'm not feeling any pain at all, how will I know if I'm becoming worse? And so that was out too. But anyway, I'm ready now. I just finished up last week, week before last, my pelvic health physical therapy. And I'm ready now for acupuncture. So I'd like for you to help me if you have a doctor that you can recommend, I would appreciate that. But I was talking about Dr. Stacy and his cell food because he believes in feeding the cells.
Yes.
And, disease, and maybe you should Google him up. He was just a fascinating human being. And as I said, he said all diseases, just the mucus. And he taught that you do outgrow your need for milk. And that when you're an adult, that you get so much mucus from milk. It was one of the products that he did not recommend. And it is interesting that the human being is the only one that feeds his young somebody else's milk. You'll never see a cow, a cow nursing from a mother's breast, but we see nothing of giving this cow's milk to our children, our babies, and guess what? Cows eat nothing but grass. And the human beings don't eat grass, but they smoke plenty of it. I think maybe it's from all that cow smoke that they did as babies. But the point that I'm making is he was a brilliant man, and he actually did cure AIDS. I know people say they wanted to find a cure for AIDS, but they didn't. And that's what I really appreciate about your approach of what can you do to make people not need you. That, to me, is what medicine should be about and healing should be about instead of repeat business. If you want to repeat your prison business, you got to go out and make sure you lock up people because you need that repeat business. And doctors in particular, they just keep you coming back to be fed with the remedy that they know is not a remedy. So I love your approach, and I want to know about the healing. As I said, my question was, what is the important role that healing and touching of the human body plays in the overall health of a human being? being a necessary ingredient that human beings, as they age, need touch, like babies need touch. In the HIPAA experiment, when they fed and clothed the babies, but they didn't touch them, all those babies died. And so I think just as that healing and touching is important to babies' health, that it is important to the aging person's health, especially when they live alone. And younger children might see that they're old and wrinkled and be afraid to touch them. So, would you address that?
So can you address the touch, the need for touch for babies, for the elderly, really for everyone? I think it's so important. Why don't you talk about that, Stephanie?
Yeah, and that's such a huge thing. And I think you're talking about like the studies they did that the babies did not thrive, and that's why they go in and they hold the babies in the hospital because of those studies. And absolutely. And during this shutdown type thing, it's like it's been devastating to people just not being touched and hugged and this and that. I think the difference is like we're talking about one thing about touch. And what I teach and what I want you to learn is a specialized touch using movement to change muscle memory and to get out of pain. I mean, when you look at the human body, when you think we have bones, we have a heart, we have these organs, we have a brain, but what do we have most of? Muscles. And when muscles get contracted from sleeping funny or getting hit by a Mack truck, they continue to press on a nerve and cause a symptom or a problem somewhere. And if we can change the muscle memory, then we can get rid of all these symptoms. So it's like I haven't had a headache and I don't even know how many years. I haven't had I wear high heels or bare feet or whatever. Like it's just muscles. I'm not, doing anything. So I think one thing is about the touch studies. And yes, 100%, we could talk for hours about that and how important it is. And the fact that the whole medical system, they are so overburdened, with time constraints and this and that. And now even the Zoom calls to see you, people don't even get touched because they're just seeing their doctor by Zoom. But that's a separate issue because they're not actually touching anyways, usually, right? But if I can teach you how to touch yourself to change your muscle memory, it will get you out of pain. And then you go hug your grandchild, right? So, they both are needed. Human touch is so important, and any way that we can stay connected as a human race is utmost importance. But what I address here is just, can I touch without being a healer, without having to fly to Jupiter to see me? I mean, I'm nothing special, when I can teach you. That's so great. And if you don't have pain, you just feel better, you move more, and you feel more like hugging your neighbor because you feel good. We're all crabby when we don't feel good, right? So,
Yeah, and there's a lot of that going on with all the isolation.
Yes.
So we actually have another caller, number 407701. So Mama D, thank you so much for calling in. We're going to take our next caller. Let me make sure I do this right. Hold on. There's Grand Rising, welcome to Cell Care with Jodi Suson, and we have our guest speaker, Stephanie Hunter, who's the creator of the Hunter Method. Who are we chatting with?
Grand Rising, this is Beata, your Friday morning health and wellness host.
Hi, Dolly. You are amazing.
About number one, I didn't hear how long have you been doing this work, and number two, have you noticed since this Corona adventure we've been on, what have you seen different in your work, in the type of clients you're working with, and their emotional pain and all that? What have you seen different in the last year since you've been doing this work?
That's a good question. People are really afraid, and there's I have many people I have not seen for the last year because they're afraid to leave their homes. So I don't see those people. But if you're afraid and you have a tight ass, that you're still, that they're not, you know, saying like you can get the muscles better and still be afraid and feel good. I always say that if you don't feel some unsureness or fear or anxiety during 2020 and 2021, you may clinically be like a psychopath that has no connection or feeling to anything. You know what I mean? I don't know anybody that doesn't have some form of fear and anxiety right now. So that's one thing.
Right.
But you can still be, I'm under a lot of stress and I've had a lot of fear and a lot of heartache. This is one of the, like last year was one of the hardest years of my entire life. I actually, anyways, I don't want to talk about it, but it was really, 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 really hard emotionally.
Ditto. Yeah,
Still,
ditto.
but I still feel good and I still do gymnastics out in the backyard and I still function, you know, with a lot of energy without much sleep because I don't have tight muscles. So there's a lot of different therapies that address, there's therapists, counselors, coaches, getting your cellular, you know, health better, you're eating, you're this and that. I'm in just one lane, muscles. But when our muscles, like for in our neck, feel better, we feel less anxious than if we had tight neck muscles plus, you know, incomprehensible stress due to unknowns of the future and whatnot. So by helping your muscles feel better, you help your anxiety and everything else. So, but you can still be anxious and be able to turn your head, and you know, they're two separate things.
Yeah, so Beata wants to know how long you've been doing this work.
I mean, so I'm 55 and I started when I was 25. So I'm not very good at math, but that's 30 years. So, so 30 years, 50,000 plus treatments. I did that stat like probably 2 years ago. You know, at times I would work from 8 a.m. until 10 p.m. Unrelenting, just got to figure this out. Lots of good therapies out there. I'm not the only game in town. I'm just one person with a method. And my goal is to be able to teach others how to help themselves, not just come and see me or be dependent on me and my people that I've trained too.
Go ahead, Beata.
Florida. I live in Florida, so I was just wondering if you can share, if I travel to Jupiter, I'm in Orlando area. If I travel to Jupiter, how much should I budget to see you for a pain issue that I might have?
So most people that travel in, we say we either say 5 days and get a treatment every day. And Jupiter, Florida is a very nice place to be. We're right near the ocean. My center is literally less than a mile from the ocean. And so think of it as a vacation to Jupiter. But then sometimes people will fly in for 5 days and then leave and then come back for 5 days. Some people stay for 2 weeks. I've had people with, like for example, I had a woman that had not been able to get out of bed for 9 years. So that's a severe case, right? Severe, had to take an ambulance to go to PT and she could not sit. So she got 3 plane seats and she laid down and she came in for, I think 7 days and I treated her every day. And it's not just me. I have 2 wonderful therapists, Nikki and Tina. And so it's not just me. And so, you know, that people come in, they get care every day. So in terms of money, so the treatments are a half hour and a double treatment is $200. So it's like a little bit more than an hour, but you really only need a 30-minute treatment. That's the other thing. It's not a 6-hour treatment. It's not like a whole day.
That's affordable, Stephanie.
Yeah. So I have people that say like, I've spent over $1 million on my whatever. And so I've always wanted to keep it affordable because we all have different time and money kind of things. Staying in Jupiter is just like staying, well, you're in Orlando, right? So I just had somebody drive from Lake Wales to his appointments. I have people that drive from Key West to come to my center for a 30-minute appointment and drive back. I don't recommend that. That's just them, you know, but.
It's worth it.
Well, you think about the Go ahead. I'm sorry, Vieta.
No, I said it's worth the drive. It's a beautiful place. I've been to Jupiter.
Yeah, I mean, Florida's just gorgeous. I'm hoping to be down there shortly. But when you think about that, 36 million Americans miss work because of chronic pain, just in 1 year. I think that honestly, and this is kind of going off in a little bit of a different direction, but it's a passion of mine. Corporations should be looking at you, Stephanie. Corporations should be hiring you or training their people on your methods, because what would workman's comp look like? What would their productivity look like? What would presenteeism look like? What would absenteeism look like? When I hurt myself for the first time, which was in I forget what year it was, but I think it was 1987 or 1989, or 1997. Math. But anyway, my employer lost out, right? So you have the employers lose, the people lose. They lose quality of life, right? And what's life worth living if you can't have it with joy and activity and spending time with your children or your husband or your wife or your whoever, right? Aunt, uncle, grandpa. So people really need to look at this not only for themselves, but they need to look at this for their businesses, for their employees. Bring this on, because Stephanie has, and I didn't get a chance to look at the whole thing, but it's really cool. Stephanie has this training program. It's online. And so people can train themselves on self-care. And that's where the power is. And when you can, avoid going to the emergency room or urgent care or your doctor's office, and you can just click on a link and say, this is a trusted source, because I don't want you just clicking any link to fix your body, right? You've got to know how to source the right practitioners to teach you to do the right things for your body. Just like I teach you how to source your food, we also teach you how to source the right doctors and healthcare practitioners. So this is a really huge contribution, Stephanie, that you're making to the world. And I am beyond grateful for that. Absolutely beyond grateful. So, and again, you go to doyouhunter.com. Is that right? To learn more. And so you said it's how much a visit then for 30 minutes?
Yeah, it's $100 for a visit, and then you can buy a package of 5. Most 96% of our people buy packages of 5, because we see people, when people come in, that about 80% are 5 to 10 treatments in a 2 to 3 week period. So this is like, that it's close together. If somebody comes from out of town, we see them every day. And I think so this December 23rd is when I launched those courses. So if somebody comes in and then we treat them at the same time, we can say, this is what you need to be doing we can then make a program for you when you go back home. And then you can really, so to me, that is like a double whammy. I used to try to teach and work on somebody at the same time, and it was too much. It was overwhelming. People would pay me then, like, can I just have another hour, and then you can teach me one-on-one? But now we have the step-by-step videos where I show, so like Jodi, if you were my client model, right? I would show you where to put your hand and how to do it. Then I do a review, and then I use the model to show a routine that you could actually do. So if you, so it's really simple. And then about what is Hunter Method, how do you touch? There's a cornstarch experiment, which people are really going to kick out of, about how to touch the body, that you just don't touch it like a 2x4. That, anyways, but that's like a 2-minute video. But so when people come in now, if you came in for a week, and then you could actually feel it, you could get results, but then also really understand the self-treatment and have it geared just for you. so far, I've just had a couple people like that, nobody that's out of town, like way out of town, in the last couple weeks, but people that have been driving like 3 hours, for appointments. So anyways, I'm just glad that was, getting those courses up was a really, thank you, Nadia, and all the people that helped me do that. Thank you, Tony. Thank you, everybody. Sage. Anyways, so sometimes your stuff is too complex to actually just self-treat, and I recommend you do contact us and talk about maybe flying in, and we can help you. But, that's only for about 20% of the people. 80% can learn to do this at home.
Right. And so, Viata, you're about 3 hours away from Jupiter. Is that right?
2. Orlando's about 2.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, are you still with us, Viata? Oh, I think she may have dropped off.
Okay.
But so if you're close, I mean, you can, that's an easy drive. I mean, put on some good music, right? And drive on in.
Yeah.
I look like I may have one more caller, 773-737. Let's see what they have to say, and then we're going to wrap up. It looks like in a minute or so. So this will just be really quick. Let's just say hello, Grand Rising. Who do we have here? Hello. What's that? Oh, okay. So that's all good. So we'll
This show has just been marvelous. And again, I welcome you as one of the sister hosts, and I'm looking forward to the information about acupuncture, because that's my next realm of physical therapy. I want to try that. So what do you think about acupuncture?
So I am a big fan of acupuncture. I've used acupuncture for many, many years. I talk about it, I believe, in my story, Informed Choices, that I wrote. And it helps move the energy throughout the body. And they work on meridians. I love it. But in the message, and I'm glad you bring up acupuncture, and I'm not going to spend too much time, but I'm just going to say there is something for everyone. So we actually have 2 minutes left, just over 2 minutes left in the show. So we are going to just make sure everybody knows what they need to do for the rest of the week, right? So what we have, if you tune in tomorrow, we have, which is Wednesday, we have Naima Latif and Kareem Hamid, Repairing Family Relationships. This is the foundation of how we show up as human beings in the world. So I suggest highly that you tune in if you can. Thursday, we have Women's Roundtable. Friday, Health and Wellness with Beata, who we were just talking to. She is amazing. And then Saturday, which this will be, I believe, the first Saturday, is Nonviolent Communication with Zana, and the Black Taboo with Love, Joy, and Power. So I think that is, and then Travel with Deborah and Wisdom with Mama D on the fourth Saturday. Soul Purpose Healing with Beata. And don't forget to tune in on Monday morning with Fair Learning with Zelda Speaks. So, and we have, so, looks like we have 1 minute left.
Be sure to get your copy of the book, The Female Solution. On behalf of our team of radio hosts, I'd like to thank all of you who participated in today's discussion.
So, looks like we have a couple radio commercials going, but Stephanie, I just want to say thank you so much.
Oh, you're welcome. Thank you so much for having me. It was so fun.
I'm honored to have you as my first guest on Suson Essentials, Self-Care, and doyouhunter.com.
Yeah.
That's where you want to go. doyouhunter.com.
All good.
All right, so I think that's it. It's 8:59, and please reach out to Stephanie if you're in pain.
Thank
you know, and if you're not in pain, find ways to collaborate. There you go.
Thank you, Jodi. Thanks for having me.
Thanks for being here. Bye-bye.
Bye.